Shane Mosley called Shakur Stevens the best fighter in the division over Haney and Gervonta Davis. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. Alright, y'all. So, recently Shane Mosley gave an interview and he spoke about who he feels is the best in the lightweight division. And I guess you could go from 130 to 140 and include all the above in the lightweight division. Now, I know that Gervonta Davis most likely won't be moving back down. I think he can still make the weight around 130, but I don't think he'll be moving back down anytime soon. He'll be moving up. As well, Devin Haney can't make that weight at all. He can barely make 135, so he'll most likely be moving up here pretty soon. Now, Shakur Stevens is a different story. He just left 130, so I think if he wanted to, he could go back down, make 130, if there was a big enough money fight for him to take down there.
And that money doesn't make you cool. It sometimes makes you corny because then you be only worried about money. That money is the devil. Money is the evilest form of existence and separates everybody. And it makes everybody worry. People will do anything for money, even gossip.
Now, when it comes to the best out of those three guys, and why does Sugar Shane feel like Shakur Stevens is the best in the division? We all know Gervonta Davis has the most likability, I guess you could say, the most watchability, and I think the way he knocks people out is very entertaining. So he has all the intangibles for someone to say, this is my favorite fighter in the division. But does that make him the best in the division? And Sugar Shane says that he feels like Shakur Stevens is the best over Devin Haney, over Gervonta Davis. And why would he say that? You know, what does Shakur bring to the table that those other two guys don't have? Well, let's list off all the intangibles that Gervonta, Devin, and Shakur have. And when it comes to Gervonta, you got power. He's probably the most powerful fighter in the division, very similar to a Mike Tyson. Knockout ratio is crazy, and he does have boxing skill. He has the ability to judge and gauge power at distance, and he does that very well, you know, with his new age rope-a-dope. I think he does it probably better than any other fighter because he doesn't have to actually use the ropes to dope you in. Now, when you think about Devin Haney, you think about a guy who's very long, very rangy, uses his jab to keep you off of him. And I think this is the reason that a lot of people have Devin Haney beating Gervonta Davis. But when I think about it, I don't think so. Even though I do believe that Gervonta is a very close fighter to Mike Tyson. And the way that Mike Tyson was able to get beat, or the way people beat Mike Tyson was, i.e. Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield, what they ended up doing was using their size to their advantage. Well, especially Lennox Lewis. We all know Lennox is known for the jab, and he basically just used his jab to his advantage. Now, Holyfield was a little different. He used his jab, his hooks, and he just beat the crap out of Mike Tyson. I think the one downfall for Gervonta Davis is if you can overwhelm him, you could beat him. And I think that was the same for Mike Tyson. If you could overwhelm Tyson, you could beat him. Lennox was able to overwhelm him with a long jab, and it frustrated Tyson, made him do some crazy stuff. Evander Holyfield was able to use the jab and hooks and work distance, and it made Mike Tyson go crazy. And I don't think Gervonta Davis would go that far, but I do feel like if you're able to overwhelm Davis, then it neutralizes his power. Now, most people feel like you can just sit on the outside and pop shot Davis and beat him and outpoint him and beat him. I think that would work to a certain extent. Maybe if Gervonta Davis was a little bit more like Mike Tyson with that whole, you know, come forward style, but he's not. He's already a guy who lets you, once again, with that new age rope-a-dope, come to him. He gauges your power. He gauges your distance. And if both guys are just sitting on the outside waiting for something to happen, eventually you're probably going to make the mistake before Gervonta Davis does, because he can actually counteract his mistakes with his power. So that's something that Devin Haney doesn't have in his bag, is power. So I would say that Devin Haney, even though I think most people believe he would beat Gervonta and Shakur because of his size, I don't think so. I think it's actually would be a little bit to his disadvantage in that fight. And Gervonta Davis, people forget he's a hell of a fighter. The man knows how to do a lot in the boxing ring. And once again, the only way you're going to overwhelm him is with speed, combinations, and power. And you're going to have to bring all three of those to the table to beat Gervonta Davis. Now, what about Shakur Stevens? Shane Mosley said he feels like Shakur is the best in the division. Why did he say that? Well, those three things that I just brought up. Shakur has speed, has power, and he knows how to use a boxing ring. He knows how to judge distance as well. So Sugar Shane thinks that he would be able to put it all together and perhaps overwhelm Gervonta. Now, do I believe that? Honestly, I don't know how good Shakur Stevenson's power really is at 135 pounds just yet. He just entered the division. You could say that he's got the power, the speed, the distance, all that to beat Gervonta, but until they actually get it on, or until he faces some better competition and starts knocking people out with the ratios that Gervonta Davis is having, you can't really say that he has the power. Now, he does have the speed, and he does have some good length on him. So I think he would be able to utilize the ring to his advantage. Now, he has 2 out of those 3 in my book. I think the third one would come with time. It's just a test of time. Either he's going to have to fight Gervonta and prove it, or he's going to have to fight some better competition and prove that he can knock people down. Now, does that mean that Devin couldn't beat him? I mean, I'm not saying that. Does that mean that somebody with lesser talent than both of those guys couldn't beat Gervonta Davis? I'm not saying that either, but when it comes to who's the best out of those 3, at this point, if you're going to base it solely off of skill sets, who has the better skill sets at 135 pounds? Let's keep it strictly there. Okay, so we've said Devin has the length, but he doesn't have the power or the speed. So that really puts him at number 3. Now, we said that Gervonta has the power, he has the ring IQ, he has the new age rope-a-dope. He does have a little bit of speed. So I think that puts him at the top of the mountain at the moment. When you think about Shakur Stevens, we said that he has the speed, he has the ability to use the ring, he has some good length on him. He might not be the tallest, but he does have good length. So you would have to put him, to me, either right behind Gervonta Davis or at second place. So if you have a 1, 2, 3 positioning for these 3 fighters, then Devin would be third, even though he's the champion. Go figure. I don't know how that plays out. You can't blame him for who he fought to become champion. But if you go strictly off of skill sets, Devin Haney's, he's already hit his peak at 135 pounds. We all know that because his power's not carrying anymore. He's getting bigger, and his power's not carrying anymore at 135 pounds. So you can just say he's there by default just because he's the champion. I think if he wouldn't have fought George Kambosos and he would have fought somebody else and beat him, he would have already left the division. He would already be campaigning at 140. So we can give him, a third place, but with an asterisk. He definitely could have better positioning, but since he has no power to boot, you can't really say that he's one of the best in the division. And since Shakur Stevens hasn't really fought anybody, I can't sit here and say that he's the best in the division because he doesn't have the resume to back it up at the moment. So by default, Gervonta Davis, and because Gervonta Davis has proved it, but by default in a way, he is the best in the division. But you could make an argument for why you think it's Shakur Stevens and his speed, power, and range ability. Now, Shane Mosley said that he feels like Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney, or Shakur Stevens, Devin Haney, would be a kind of a similar fight to Vernon Forrest and him. And he feels like it would play out similarly to that fight. But I don't think, once again, the size is going to matter. I think that would be if Gervonta Davis was more similar to Mike Tyson. If he was more like Tyson, to where Tyson got taken advantage of for his money, Tyson was having all those mental problems, Tyson had Customato problems, Tyson also had a drug addiction, I think that Gervonta Davis, you could say he's going to hit a wall at some point. But since he has none of those adverse things holding him back, I don't think that's ever going to happen to Gervonta Davis. I feel like Davis is going to be one of those guys who could possibly make it to the end of his career undefeated, the way Mike Tyson should have if he had all the right people backing him. And since Gervonta Davis doesn't seem to have any type of a drug problem, nobody could ever say he's used steroids or cheated. So I think you could say now and for a while, Gervonta is going to be the best at 135 pounds. And Shakur Stevenson is right on his heels. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all that down in the comment section below. That like button, fun mad. Share, subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. But you're more than likely to get a response on Tube. So holler at me over there. If you want to collabo, feel free to hit my Gmail. It is flockofcards@gmail.com. And we are live.
I drop CDs on the yearly. The chicks get live whenever they heard me. Some niggas I hate, some niggas will cheer me. I just wanna make sure you hear me clearly. That way I know you consider me one of the best rappers sincerely. Niggas wanna stunt like they don't fear me. On the microphone wishing that they could serve me. Trying to get in the way of my journey. That's how you end up on the gurney. It ain't about the money, then it don't concern me. I stay on the grind, nigga, I stay earning.
I got a bottle full of Remy, plus I got a 50 Henny. The vodka got me in it, but tonight I got a limit. Right now we juicing gin and ain't no spending on no women. But I pass you a bottle if you tell me I can hit it. Pass the bottle, 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 pass the bottle. I see a model, I'm about to holler.
Stay smoking, choking, drinking, y'all stay moping, broken, hating. I stay smoking, choking, drinking, y'all stay moping, broken, hating. Now niggas say they seen it all, but they ain't seen death. It seems you want the ball, but you're more like referees. Broke niggas and your jerks especially. Think twice before you step to me. Yes, it's me, Professor Key. School niggas on how to get the cheese. Better yet, it's me, call him Chef the Key. If you're trying to eat, got a recipe. I keep it real till I'm buried. You on that fake shit, nigga, don't come near me. I got the monster squad, so I ain't worried. You on that bullshit, get took out early.
I got a bottle full of Remy, plus I got a 50 Henny. The vodka got me in it, but tonight I got a limit. Right now we juicing gin and ain't no spending on no women. But I pass you a bottle if you tell me I can hit it.
Pass the bottle, pass the bottle.